Hello, good morning. Hi, I am just waiting for Marie. Oh, there she is. There she is. Good morning. Today we're going to talk about motherhood and fear. Mm. So, hey, good morning.
And good morning to you too. Woo!
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Are you?
Yes, it is. Hard to believe. Another week. I got my hair cut, so
Oh,
I
look
did.
at you. Look at you.
Feeling lighter.
Oh, it makes such a difference to get the hair done.
Yeah, it does. And because I'm going back to my own, well, I'm letting my own color grow through. He said there's about another 4 months to grow out on this. But then I'll probably do like mad stuff because I want to get like a purple streak. And because I've got the silver highlights, you see, I don't have to bleach my hair, so I won't. So I've got a little bit, yes, funky.
Lovely. I like it. I like it very much.
Thank
So
you.
today I welcome again Marie from Time to Sparkle and Shine again. So we're gonna talk today about motherhood and fear. So Marie, can you
Yeah.
introduce yourself to the people that doesn't know you yet?
My name is Marie Nugent, and my business is called Time to Sparkle and Shine. And I basically mentor and support women that are going through big life challenges, just to bring them to a sense of where they feel that they've control over their lives, where they feel that they're supported, that they're listened to, that they're heard, that they're empowered. All the things that you can lose sight of, because when you're going through stuff, sometimes you're a lot more aware of other people and the power that they hold. And you feel yourself just shrinking. So basically, I help and support you so that you can expand again, that you can be seen, you can be heard safely, and that you can feel empowered by the process. Because, we all go through crap in life. I know there's been times when I've said, do you know what, that's enough. I'm done. I'm finished. No more learning, no more growing. I'm just going to sit here and cocoon myself. But, we live in the real world. And when you go through these experiences, they definitely empower you. You come out the other end definitely stronger. You have developed muscles that you didn't know you had, and strengths that you didn't know you had. So, yeah, that's where I come in. All
That's
about
lovely.
help, support, and very much about empowering. Yeah. So thank you, Sancha. Again, I love our connection. This woman is amazing. So she is. I love the generational thing as well, because obviously there's a few years between us. And I'm doing a series of Instagram lives myself where I interview women that I think are truly empowered, and have allowed the circumstances that they have gone through to guide them, to bring them maybe in a direction that they didn't think that they were going to go in, or didn't know that they were heading that way. But then all of a sudden, because of what happens in their lives, it changes the direction in which they go. And that happens all the time. And sometimes it's about us giving ourselves permission to do that and to allow that to happen, as opposed to fighting it. And yeah, and saying no, and then we're miserable because we're not following our intuition.
Yeah, setting boundaries, healthy boundaries, is
Yeah,
so important. And I think that it takes a lot of also learning to listen to yourself.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We don't listen. Well, we override ourselves all the time. I love your sparkles.
oh, I put on a filter here and it gets some sparkles on me. So I just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
How can I get some sparkles on me?
uh, I'm not sure. I probably you have a function there to put a filter
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. There's 3 little sparkles at the top, but I'm not sure how to access it.
Just
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yes. I see.
there you
Oh,
are.
Oh, yeah, but maybe a bit purple. Oh
Look at
God, no,
you.
no, no, that's too much.
It.
Maybe I'll just go back to normal until I figure it out. Okay,
Uh,
Sancha. Oh my God, motherhood and fear.
mm,
Yeah, it is something that I think it's something that it starts when we're pregnant.
yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah, it definitely starts when we're pregnant because, well, one thing we're doing is that we're growing a human being inside of us, and this is something that we would never have done before. Normally, particularly on your first, you are responsible for this person. So then it starts like, am I eating the right things? I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. And I think a lot of the thing is because we're drowning in information and we don't have like practical people around us saying, you know, do you know what? It's okay. Just eat normally,
Someone to hold your
and tell
hand
us,
saying that you're going to be okay. You know, it's
yeah,
it is a huge transformation that you're going through. It's normal how you're feeling and what you're
yeah,
feeling, and it
yeah,
is okay. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You know, it's really challenging. Like I don't think I had someone to tell me that. A part of asking doctors what to do or what not to do was basically what
yeah,
they had for me. Um,
yeah,
but to have someone to tell me, hey, what what you're feeling is fine. Being
yeah,
afraid of all the transformations, physical, mentally, and in your thinking so much about the future, how is it going to be, and that kind of stuff. Um, no, I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody to talk to me about it. I had the technical conversation, which is like labor, antenatal
yeah, yeah.
consultation, the whole technical part of it, but the emotional support, it's so important during this time.
Yeah, and I think we underestimate the hormonal impact or
Mm,
the impact that our hormones have on our well-being. It certainly can be a roller coaster of a ride of the way your body is flooded with all of these new sensations and new feelings and I know when I was pregnant, I didn't worry so much about the whole thing about. I suppose because I had trained as a nurse and as a midwife, but that didn't mean that I had all this. It's very, very different when you're supporting other women, and then when you're going through it yourself, it's very different. So it is. You get insights and understandings that you wouldn't have, normally had before. But I think for me, it wasn't necessarily the fact that, because I felt good when I was pregnant, which makes a big difference. But for me, it was the fact of thinking about going into labour and how would I, and that was actually a genuine fear for me. And I was delivering babies all the time, but it was like, how am I going to be able to do this? And that was a genuine fear for me, and you know that's something that that's very, very natural and very, very normal to go through. But to know that you have the helps and supports around you that I know, Key, you have to go through it yourself, but that you're in a safe space and a safe environment, that does actually help a lot. So it does. Um, and then you have your baby and you're here, and then it's a whole new level. So it is.
I remember I was afraid even to put the clothes on the little arms because they're so
Yeah,
fragile, and the fear of breaking the child or killing the child was,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and up. I think that like even up to today, the fear changes, but it is always there. Um, like what happened to me, like, and it still is here, and I have to always keep an eye on it, is like I was being so fearless, traveling, paragliding, uh, doing crazy things as you normally do when you're young and have no proper responsibility,
Possibilities. Yeah.
kind of stuff. Always like, out and about, and this crazy world. And I look back and I think, Jesus, what, how I did so many things like that. But since the moment that I had the kids, and since I found out that I was pregnant, it came a fear that I never had a fear
Yeah.
of dying, or something happens to
Okay.
me, or a fear
Yeah.
or something happens to them or to my
Yeah.
husband. That kind of fear for the life itself. It was
Yeah.
here, and it
Yeah.
brought me into like a crazy kind of spiral kind of thing,
Yeah.
way of thinking, and it made me so overprotective, that to the
Yeah.
point I got to a point that I was afraid to go, for example, to a shopping center. That triggers me with the kids,
Yeah.
because the kids
Yeah.
was of something could happen. Where is the nearest exit? Well, that kind of, generates anxiety. The fear
Yeah.
for anxiety to the point that it stops you from living.
Yeah. I can honestly say that I didn't feel that fear of, I think because I was so desperate to get out, you know, and to get out of the house, and for my big escape was to be able to go just for a cup of coffee. And even today, it has special significance to me. My biggest treat is the ability to go to a coffee shop and sit down, have a nice cup of coffee, and meet friends. And that's what I used to do with the kids. I never really minded. For me, it was about, I felt I needed that connection with
Mm,
the other, with other people, even if we weren't, we were sharing the same space. I felt I needed that. And I think because that comes down to the whole thing, is when you're on your own, that sense of isolation can come in. So for me, if I felt I connected during the day, it almost like it fed me for the rest of the day. But the fears that you're feeding them the right, and a lot of the overprotectedness comes from the fact that you are afraid that you're not going to do it right. We're
mm,
not taught to, relax into it. You've got this, number one. You've got your intuition, you've got your insights, you've got your understandings. You may not have the skill set yet, but you
yeah.
develop that as you go along. And trust yourself. You're not going to feed them the wrong food. You're not going to poison them. Um, but
I've
making
done
your
that.
place making your place safe, though, is something that, because kids are like little hoovers, if something drops, or a toy, or they pick it up, or fear of choking, but that's a
Oh,
natural fear. So it is, that they're actually going to swallow something, and that they won't. But the odds are, and I suppose during your kid's lifetime, they're always going to put something into their mouths. So
oh,
they are, that, because that's basically what kids do. But I suppose how you reassure yourself about that is basically to show how you do a Heimlich maneuver, or what it is that you do. If a child has an obstacle, in their mouth or their throat or whatever, what is it that you can do to first aid nearly. So even just practical first aid is a great skill to have, so that, if anything does happen, then you do feel reassured. Um, and also you can't be 24/7. And I think the more kids you have, the more stuff you have lying around. And actually, the more relaxed you get, because it's just a part of life then. So it is. It's not like you're constantly looking for all the things, how they can get them in, you know, the plugs they can stick their fingers into, the presses they can close their fingers on, the tables when they get to a certain height that they keep hitting their heads off. But these are natural growing up experiences. And know that, you know, and I do believe that we are part of soul groups. I totally believe that. And I do believe, and this used to drive my kids mad, and I'd say to them, they'd start fighting. I said, well, sure, you picked each other. You know, it's like, no, we didn't. I said, well, yes, you did. And the reality is that your children pick you because of who you are, because of the journey that you're going to go through. And you know what? It allows you to relax when you realize that and say, you know, I've got this, you know, we're in this together, you know, we're part of a team, we're going to learn, and we do learn from each other. We learn from our kids all the time, and our kids learn from us. That we're almost like more, okay, initially we feel responsibility, but we're more in partnership with them. We're more in, you know, we're a team that we work together in allowing ourselves. You can be the mother, but also that motherhood, while it's part of you, it's not all of you. It's like you are still a person. And I think that's what the beauty of what's happening over the last while for women rediscovering themselves. Motherhood is part of what it is, the empathy and understanding, and it gives us a skill set that allows us to work in a workforce, you know, that we don't actually acknowledge.
One thing that I had to face myself is to accept that it's okay to feel fear, but I had to put my foot down and say I cannot let it control me. I remember having because like the gap between the two kids is just 1 year, so I had literally two babies. When Liam was
Irish twins.
Irish twins,
yeah, I've got Irish twins as well, so I have.
So when you have two small babies, and I taught myself, I was craving to have that interaction with other people, yes. And for the mothers, I did. But the fact of just putting them in a pram and getting the bus or going somewhere was really triggering for me. The fear was feeding my anxiety. They were working together. And I thought myself, I cannot be living like this. You know, I have to do it anyway, despite the fear. I have to do this anyway.
And can I ask you, Sancha, when you did do it and when you went out, did you feel better?
I did. I always had great days, like taking them to play groups. Like I found a play group back in the day close to the house, so I would take them to the play groups. That's just for me to put them to play and have a cup of coffee. And I started meeting friends. I started making friends then that I still have today. But it's, you know, that kind of stuff that you have to take the first step. That for me, and that for me took and courage to say, I have to go and I have to do it. And they obviously grew up, and I've been like last year I managed to go to Brazil with the two of them on my own. And I remember I was dragging it. I was scared. I was so scared of airports, a pandemic. I was like thinking, oh my God, how can I control these two kids? Someone could try to kidnap them. You know, those thoughts that comes in your head. You have no control over them. And I said to myself, no, listen, I need to get from A to B. And it has to be done. I'm going to do it. I just need to put a strategy to go how to do it, and don't let me stopping or freeze during the process. And it takes really time for you to learn to try that kind of stuff, the triggers on yourself, and cope. And The fear is always
Yeah.
going to be there anyway. I think things like not just as
But
a
it But does it change more to an awareness rather than an overwhelming sensation? Because I'm just thinking that generationally, because I traveled with my kids and I traveled to Australia with the three of them, which was great fun altogether. But I can honestly say I didn't have the fear of them being kidnapped or being taken away or anything like that. Mind you, there are times you'd be saying, okay, you can have them now, so you can. Particularly you're traveling all of those. But, the airlines were very good. But I can honestly say, and I wonder, is it the fact that, when I was, so it's, my eldest is 31 now. And I wonder, is it that there was less focus on that there wasn't quite, I suppose what am I trying to say, that there's more focus on fear and anxiety now than there would have been 30 years ago.
yeah.
And so for me, anxiety was just something you felt that, if you were anxious about something, you were aware that you were anxious of, and then you just, you said, okay, but it didn't, you went and you did it anyway. And while I might have had concerns about going on a flight with three kids, I think when you set up strategy, as you were saying, the fact of going to Heathrow, that you could have somebody to help you, particularly if you're traveling on your own, that, the airline set up these sort of things. And there was practical things that you can do to allay your fears. But I'm just wondering, because of the generational thing, is it that there's more focus on fear and anxiety now, and it's more amplified in the world than it was maybe 30 years ago?
I guess so. I guess that is being spoken more openly about mental health the past like 10 years maybe. And
Yeah,
so then you're more aware as well of this kind of feelings and this kind of behaviors. But like once again, like fear always, since I became a mother, has been following me for every time, lots of
yeah,
situations. Well, but like I try my best to not let it control me and overwhelm me
yeah,
to the
yeah,
point that I stop to do whatever I need to do or stop taking actions or making decisions. Obviously, I take into account as well the fear. Why am I feeling this and what is there for? Is a
yeah,
self-protection thing? What is
yeah,
it? You know?
yeah,
What, for example, another level of fear that I discovered the past year was with the pandemic as well. Obviously, the or so many people that kind of get infected and that kind of stuff, like I think came another level of fear on the top of us
yeah.
already.
And you're absolutely right. There was so much fear that it was palpable. And what that does, even if you weren't affected by, what was going on in the world, or you had cocooned your world, what it did is it activated your own fears and brought them to another level. So it did. Because fear is an energy that the more you feed it, the bigger it grows.
Exactly. The simple fact of going to the supermarket became one of the challenges of like any person. You would be thinking they're standing too close to me. They,
Yeah.
you know, bringing
Oh,
your
there was,
shop,
yeah, that's still there. Yeah, yeah. And it is a strange one. So it is, because I found personally that the whole thing about what was happening in the world, um, that I needed to mind myself so that I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole of constantly watching the news and the media and things like that. And that was what I had to do. That is what I had to do to maintain my status quo, because I was living in the country. I had surrounded by beautiful countryside. I had control over my life. I had control over what it is that I watched. I had control over who I worked with, learning a new way of working. So if I didn't want to find that my fears were being triggered, I needed to come out of that. And I suppose in a certain way, my background, the fact that I was a nurse, helped me to get a sense of perspective on what was happening, as opposed to, I suppose, swallowing the whole pill, shall we say?
Yeah.
You know, and that's about using discernment about what it is, you know, this fear, is it relevant to me at this very moment in time? Am I safe? Are my families, you know, are they, you know, safe and happy? And all of those things were, you know, ticked and were fine, and they were. And that was my reality. And I had to make that part of my, what do you call it, your foundations, because the world outside that was actually information that you were getting that was overload, but actually it really wasn't much. If you were doing the things that you know, you went to the shop and you wore your mask and, you know, and you came home, and if you were doing what was expected of you, then the rest, how you felt and what it is you allowed into your life, was up to you. And I found that, but you know, there are other fears, you know, because none of us get through life unscathed.
I think the pandemic brought a fear of the unknown, because nobody was ready for this. Got everybody off guard. The whole planet was off guard, and nobody knew what to do, how long it was going to last. And I think obviously over the time we learned so much with what's going on and what to do. And even the government didn't know what to do anyway. So I think that like it was like a collective fear.
Totally. Yeah, and that's why you had to protect yourself even more so, because this was almost like when you went out, it was like a fog that you were walking into, you know, and that's why the importance of protecting yourself. And you bring up an interesting one, the fear of the unknown. I think because I had already been through that when I separated and divorced, and the fear that for me, there was a huge fear of the unknown that came up after that. That funnily enough, when I'd gone through that, when the pandemic hit, the fear of the unknown was gone. Not that it was, you know, it was like, oh yeah, I've been here. This is not new territory for me. The unknown is just that. It's the unknown. And, you know, I just get on with this the same way as I got on with, you know, after coming out of the divorce and being on my own and you know, and being responsible for myself and moving house and all of the things that occurred then after that. So I think if you go through something like this once and you come through it, you're definitely stronger, and it doesn't have the same fear.
And you also have to cope, to manage. Say, no, this is okay. This is different, but like I've been on this territory before. I know what to do. I think even for myself, like I've been through fear, different fears, but like it caught us off guard. Oh, you're sparkling.
I want to get the subtle ones though, Sancha. Just the little sparkles. Oh. Now I look like I'm in a snowstorm. So I do. Yeah, but you're right. You know, yeah. But so even going through it makes you stronger.
Yeah. Well, I suppose now, I hope that after all of this that we have been through, this whole 1 year, almost 2 years of our lives gone because of that, because of the virus, and so many people has gone. I think the humanity we'll have to learn something from it. You have to.
Of course there is. And yeah, and you're totally right. This would not have happened. And in a lot of people, in a lot of lives, they were on the hamster wheel of just going round and round and round. And this has given them pause to reflect and see what it is that they wanted to do in their life. And I suppose I don't agree with you to a certain extent that the years have been gone. They've been refocused. They've allowed us to refocus on our lives in ways that we wouldn't normally have gotten. It's allowed us to work differently. It's allowed us to, there's companies out there that would never in a million years have allowed their staff to work from home. That now is becoming norm. So it's like in a year, it's like it's been a steep learning curve. And the impact is going to be felt for years to come. It's brought couples more into partnership than they would have been before, because they had to work together, particularly if they've got children, they had to homeschool. It's given them a whole new insight and understanding of what it is to be a family. So, I don't see, and people give out about they've lost a year. They haven't lost a year. Their year gave them a different insight and understanding than they normally would have. Like for the kids, for the teens, it's changed how they look at the world. It's given them a new appreciation for friendships, more understanding for family. There have been a huge amount of, if we take the fear out of it, this growth spurt that we've been through over the last year and a half will impact the world for years to come. That whole thing about, we spoke about it before, about, partnerships. They were saying that for men and women to become on a par was going to take about 70 years for men to take as much responsibility. That has definitely been fast-tracked over the last year. So, we can say what went wrong, but more went right. And, there has been loss, but there is such a thing as timing, and we would be terribly arrogant as humans to think that that there isn't a bigger plan afoot for what it is that we've experienced and what we grow out of. And I always think, there's always the best of a worst case scenario. There's always the best of a worst case scenario. And just some things were meant to be. Some things, some karmas were meant to be fulfilled. Some people chose to leave during this time. Some people chose to go through the experiences that they went through. And I think as humanity, we definitely have pressed a reset button. And it was a short, sharp shock. And it's like a depth charge. And we're going to start, even for years to come, we're going to feel hopefully the benefits.
Let's hope so.
Prioritizing your life and what it actually means for you to be in alignment with doing what you're meant to be doing and not just existing.
Mm-hmm. Now you're talking the fear that the pandemic brought and bringing to motherhood during this pandemic and the fear that went with it. I think now that everybody was at home under the same ceiling, and as you said, husband, wife, kids, everybody together, and the fear of a new normality that started, that we now are start to return slowly, but we start to return to a new normality, and just to return to work, returning to see people, returning to actually coming out more and sending the kids back to school, living in society. I think that's also very present at the moment. Many people are choosing just not to do that at all for a while, or not even the fear, the simplest thing, the fear of the vaccine, or not taking the vaccine, or taking the vaccine. That kind of the choices the people are making, and is affecting them so much. I think in the end of the day, the fear always going to be there. Always. It's just the choice that we're going to make about it in the decisions.
Yeah. I think that I was driving up to my mum the other day, and a hailstone shower. I drove into a hailstone shower, and you know the temperature drops like straight away, and it, you know, and the hailstones came down, and then you drove out the other side, and it came up, and fear is a bit like that. So it's a bit like being in that shower, that hailstones, where the temperature drops. And you have the choice to drive out of it and look at it, or you can see, I think if you give what it is, it depends on what it is that you're afraid of. Mm-hmm. There is always going to be fear about something, but it's whether it's something that you give dominance in your life, or whether it is something that you can actually reduce. Because fear is that energy. So it's like when you're in it, you feel it. But you can use techniques that will bring that fear down. And if you bring it to a manageable level, then it's not fear as you know it. You know, it's sort of like it takes on another,
like self.
Fear is a big word. Fear is huge. But if you shrink that down to something that, you know, that flits in and flits out, as opposed to comes and stays, then you're not. It's not that emotions are never going to go away. Yeah. You know, they're always going to be part of you. So I think, you know, we maybe it's not seeing fear as a big F, but then putting a smaller F on it, and then making it smaller, and then it's like tiny, and then it's still there, but your perspective on the way you're looking at it, you're getting bigger as it's getting smaller. And that is, and that's the way we need to be looking at what's happening at the moment. So last year was fear with a big F. Mm-hmm. This year it's fear, but the F is smaller. So it's definitely smaller. It might be there, but it's smaller. And I think as people are getting on with their, I think as well, it depends on how much time you have to think about it. So if you're, you know, if you are at work and you're coming home, and your mind is occupied and it's engaged, and you're loving what it is you're doing, fear in that case just becomes tiny. Mm-hmm. You know, because you have in your life, you have not made it, you know, not that you have not made it, but it's not big. But, you know, and you know, in another couple of months, fear will be even smaller again. So, you know, instead of big, bold front, it'll be getting smaller. So it's still there, but you have grown and you see it differently to what it is you would have seen it initially.
Yeah, and like one thing that I'm learning during this whole process, is setting the fear on me feeds my anxiety. So for me to stop that thing from reaching this thing, I have to put boundaries, healthy boundaries here. So learning, for me, the learning curve is learning how to put the boundaries that fear doesn't feed the anxiety, because when it feeds the anxiety is when triggers so many other stuff that happens around me, and it stops me from being a better person and doing the things that I need to do, and being a good mother and working and everything else. So I suppose that fear is like a raw feeling that comes with the human equipment that it's made for us to for self-preservation anyway. He's there for that. but like until the what point that we can allow that to affect us during life. And as a young mom, first time mom kind of thing, that will be one of the things that I'm really trying to learn, and not passing my fears to the kids.
Yeah, yeah, because and you're absolutely right. They are your fears, but then again, you are the adult, so you've already lived your, up until the time that you have, and all the experiences that have gone with that. And I think that it's one thing as parents that we need to be careful of, because an awful lot of what happens in the world is fear based. So an awful lot of what happens on the news is fear based. And that comes into, so, say when I would have been growing up, you saw the news maybe, you got it at 12 and you got it at 6. And that was it. So there wasn't this constant hour after hour after hour. And I think that whole information overload is part of the reason why that fear has amplified in the world, because not only are we taking on our own fears in our own countries, but your fears of what's happening in other countries, and what's happening to them, and the ability to unplug from that, because fear is an energy, and if you put, it's like you plug in the plug, the electricity bills, you have to unplug it, to stop that, to not give it the energy that it requires, so that you can actually live in your world, not fearless, but more aware of the control that you have over what it is you listen to, what it is you talk about, who it is that you speak to, all of these sorts of things, that we have more control than we think we have. And the problem was that we didn't think we have, and for many, many, years, women didn't have. And I think what we've gone from, where you had no control, to maybe where we have an awful lot more control. And a lot of it is for us being self-discerning in what it is that feeds us, and then what it is that drains us, and choosing that, because the information is not going to go away. How we choose to assimilate it, what we choose to take in, that's where our choice comes in. And also for our children, that we can pass that skill set on to them.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I always that I try with my kids is not transfer to them my fears, or like, for example, if I'm scared of heights.
Oh, me too.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified of heights, but yet I don't stop them from going to those what's the name of that in the playground?
The jungle gym, sort of like,
kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Like if they
and
want
you're
to,
absolutely right. Yeah.
I'm terrified. But if they want to climb that, I'll be there with like watching them, protecting them. Yes, you can go. I go with you. I'll be around you. You're protected. I'm here. I'm supporting you. But I'm terrified. But you can go.
Yeah.
And let them have by experience of things and by themselves, and allow themselves to make their own decisions towards that kind of emotions that they have. For me, is one of the greatest thing that I've been learning lately.
Yeah.
Allowing them
taking a step back, Sancha.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm not gonna
Yes,
lie.
it is. Yes, it is.
All that I want to do is put them in my little bubble under my
Yeah.
wings and protect them forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that I heard a while ago is that we are raising future adults, and that's stuck in my head, because I keep thinking I want them to be fully functional emotionally and
Yeah.
physically, and like the emotional support that we, even myself, I didn't have that kind of talk at home,
Yeah.
you know, acknowledging your feelings, acknowledging that it is okay, or talking about how you're feeling, what are you feeling, if that's,
Mm.
the kind of way, open up. And I have a boy. I want him to be a man someday that like knows this kind of stuff. That it is
Mm-hmm.
okay to cry. That he's a man and he is human, and that kind of stuff. To equip him to be a man that is secure of his emotions and is okay.
Yeah.
And if one day he decides to have a partner or wife, husband, or whatever he wants, he'll be able to support them and
Yeah.
respect that, and to respect that,
Yeah.
because I'm for him one day have a relationship with somebody, and I don't want him like I want to raise him to be a man that supports and
Yeah.
knows the boundaries and everything else. So it's a long road. I'm just in the beginning. He's only
Yeah.
4, but I
But
suppose.
the other thing is, yeah, I mean, our biggest fear is that we don't, that we get it wrong. And, that's where I always go back to the whole thing about, you're going through a learning process with each other. You're never going to get it 100% right,
Yeah.
but you're going to do it what feels right for you. And that's that basically, and then give yourself a break.
I
You know,
know.
nothing has to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect picture. You don't have to have the perfect house. You don't have, like, who decided what was perfection?
True.
Who decided, that just because something looks good, that we were talking about last week, we need more pictures of kids where, having the tantrums, and this is this is my life. This is normal, this is natural, this is, as opposed to sitting and, being seen and not heard, and,
Mm-hmm.
being almost like performers on a stage, that when you come out, that it's all picture perfect. It's not.
Yeah.
There, and behind each of your children, they have their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own fears.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But like what I meant is for me to come to that consciousness that I could teach something. Like obviously, when they grow
Yeah,
up, they will
yeah,
choose
yeah,
whatever they want.
yeah,
They will choose whatever they want. But like the base is there. They know.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. You are, because of the experiences that you've been through, it's given you insights and understandings of what your family needs. And we forget that as mothers, that we develop our insights and understanding of what our family needs by our own experiences of what it is our family is going through.
True. That's so
You
true.
know? And we underestimate our own skill set, our own superpowers, because we think it, because of, that somebody has a picture perfect. It's like, how come my life doesn't look like that? But you know what? Their life doesn't look like that either. So it doesn't.
Instagram Live, or back in the day before Instagram would be those TV commercials of the family,
Yeah,
the butter
yeah,
TV commercials of the
yeah, 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 yeah.
family.
We're in the yes, yeah. And how many? When you think of how many women over the centuries, because they were considered less than. It's not surprising that we have these feelings of anxiety and stress and fear, because we are only rediscovering what it is on our own terms to be women. So it's natural that fears come up. And it's also because we haven't been taught to trust ourselves, um, to trust who we are, because a lot of what we're doing is along the way is discovering who we are as well.
That's so true. You just said it all. You said it all.
Yeah.
You said it all. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. The learning that we have a voice, learning that we are
Yes.
validated, that
Yes.
everything that we say and feel is validated, is being,
Yeah.
I suppose, the past 100 years, I think that the evolution started.
Yeah, and it really has, you know. So we've centuries to make up for, and whatever we get in this life, in the one that we have, that we evolve and grow from, we pass on to our kids, and they will make their own decisions, you know, because they will have their own paths to follow and to yeah, you know, we are all here to make the world a better place, and the more we can do and make it a better place for us.
Yeah. And the next generations, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Our time is ticking already.
yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Every time we get into this amazing conversation,
Um,
the time just fly. And when I look at the clock, I'm just like, oh my God, where did the time go?
yeah. So
Um,
for our mothers out there, just, you know, you've got this.
you've
Just
got this.
relax, enjoy the fact that you're a woman, that you're a mother, that you're a partner. You've got the instincts, and you know, if you're looking for information, it's out there. And you will find, you know, when you're ready to always go with the intent that you're going to find the best person that's going to help and support you. Because sometimes we don't bring that in. We look for the best information, but the best person that's there to help and support you.
And I always reach for support. I always ask for help. Like, it's so hard for us to give up the control.
Yeah,
But there are times that we really need an extra hand and extra help, and or someone to even talk to. So
yeah,
if you want to reach Marie, I'm gonna leave her Instagram on the post, so you can always contact her whenever you want. You can also contact me to have a chat. This live will be saved here, and we'll be posting our YouTube channels, because Marie also has a YouTube channel, and our Facebook and everything. And we try our best to keep up with the social media as well. Um, we will meet again next
yeah.
week. We're going to talk about motherhood and worry.
Worrying. Oh, yes.
Ooh, girl, grab your cup of tea and cup of coffee or water. And we're going to meet up again next week to talk about that. And I'm very excited as well, because it's going to be a great chat. Um, and yeah, so keep up with keeping your eyes
And you're
open.
doing brilliantly. You're all doing brilliantly. Sometimes we just need reassurance. Do you know what? You've got this. And
You've
you
got,
have.
and you have. Thank you so much, Maria. Really appreciate it again for you to be here today. Thank you, and I see you next week. I see everybody next week. Thank you. Mwah. Have a lovely
Bye,
day.
guys.
Happy
Bye bye.
Friday!
Happy Friday.